Sometimes when you're talking and people say, well, it used to be so good. And when we were in the world, it used to be, there were some good things that I remember. But there was an awful lot of other stuff that I remember too. There is no turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. What would happen in the church today if that would become a theme song for more and more Christians? I have decided to follow Jesus. There is no such thing about turning back. Do not talk to me about turning back. If you're trying to get me to turn back, I'm going to say, I rebuke you, Satan, and I'm going to carry on doing what I'm called to do because I have decided I'm following Jesus. What would happen, do you think, in churches today? There is no turning back. We're going forward. So never get satisfied with second best. On the other hand, don't be upset if you lose a round or two. Condemnation will be the first thing to get there. It's just the devil's way to try and get you down. Just because you lost a battle a round or two doesn't mean the fight's over. You make up your mind, you're determined. I will not turn back. Now, if you're out there in the middle of the fight when the Lord returns and you've been faithful to what God told you to do, you're going to be wearing that victor's crown. Yeah, but I didn't get the whole battle fought yet. That's okay. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're moving ahead, and you're going to get the victor's crown at that point. You're going to be told, okay, it's over, you won. Let's turn to Hebrews chapter 11. There's another reason here why we should never quit fighting the good fight of faith. Hebrews chapter 11. Now we'll start at verse 32. And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and of Samson and of Jephthah, of David also and Samuel and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, and turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Here is a list of some of the men of faith, and the writer of Hebrews starts talking about some of these acts of righteousness that were produced by men and women who refused to let go of their faith in God. So, and it says the writer would run out of time if they tried to talk about all about them, tell us about all of them. So it just mentions a few here. It says these are some of the heroes of faith, and these are some of the righteous things that they managed to do because they refused to let go. When you look through these people that are mentioned there, do you know that not one of them really had an easy time of it? Gideon had a few times that he could have turned back. He could have said, well, this isn't really the way I want to go, God. This isn't really the plan that I had. I was wanting to take the quick route. I was wanting to take the easy way. I didn't plan on having to hide behind the wine press and thrash wheat here, God. They're still moving on. He ended up taking the armies. He ended up doing things. And it just goes through and it says, talks about the different things here, about the different things that the mighty men and mighty women of God. And he says he would run out of time if they tried to tell us about all of them. Powerful men and women of faith that kept their faith in God strong in spite of facing fire, in spite of facing lions, in the face of every obstacle that they encountered in God. They says, but my God shall deliver me. I think of the three Hebrew children as they're getting cast into the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the king says, all you have to do is bow down and worship my image. How many of us would have found some way to compromise? Well, I'll just get down on one knee, and that's not really bowing. Well, I can bow on the outside, but on the inside I'm not bowing. 2-second rule. If I don't stay down for more than 2 seconds, it doesn't count. I would find ways to try and get around it instead of to stand for what was right. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the king talks to him. And he says, if you don't bow down and worship my image, you're going into the fire. Bring it on. We're not even left with the impression that they had to wonder about what they were going to do. Why did they not have to wonder what they were going to do? Because they had decided to follow. They had already made that decision when they first found out they were Hebrew. Maybe. They had already made the decision of what was going to happen. They didn't have to say now, let's have a little conference. Schnetje conference. Let's sit down and decide what we're going to do. What do you think, Shadrach? We all have, there's three of us. We should all have at least one vote. What do you think we should do, Shadrach? Well, I don't know, I've never been in this situation before. Meshach, well, wisdom would probably say, what do you think, Abby? Or Abe? Abednego? Probably could have called him Abe. What do you think? Let's have a little conference. They didn't have to have that conference because they already knew what they were going to do. They already knew that we have decided to follow the living God. We cannot turn back. We cannot go against his ways. Nothing is going to stop me. Nothing is going to hinder me. Well, when I got born again, that was the decision I made. I have decided to follow Jesus. There is no turning back. And I had people tell me right away, you're going to lose friends if you talk like that. Every friend I have lost, God has brought me better ones. I have probably more friends now. I have more family now than I had then. Lots more. I now have family throughout the world. It's gotten better, not worse. I decided to follow Jesus. See, now we go to Regina, Moose Jaw, Calgary. We got family. Asia, Mexico. We got family. California, Mom and Dad live there. And they keep inviting us home. I don't know how often they've told Pastor Jim, I said, well, you need to stop in, stay at our place. Yeah, right. I don't quite have the nerve to do that yet. But it's family. Stay at our house. Can I drive the Mercedes? My other father would let me have that. It's family. It didn't get less, it got more. It kept improving. And we keep seeing that in the Bible. Over and over. So these guys faced every obstacle and they never changed. They never let go. Now if they could do it, then we can too. God is the same today as he was then. What he did for those that trusted in him then, he will do for us today. Back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They finally looked at the king and they says, King, I don't care what you're going to do. We will not bow down. Throw us in the fire if you want. Our God can deliver us. But if he chooses not to, let it be known we're not worshiping your gods. But our God can. And then we know the story. The king got so mad, he heated the fire up to 10 times more. And that's the point I have always wondered about. Why would he think a fire 10 times hotter would kill them if that regular fire wouldn't do it? Like, how hot does a fire have to be to kill you? But it says, as soon as they said no, he says, okay, heat that fire up. And he got it so hot that the guys that were trying to throw him in fell over dead. So then I wonder, did they have to go bound into the fire to get there themselves? These guys are dead. Like, this would be a good time to turn around if you change your mind now, wouldn't it? But it says they went into the fire. And the king says, didn't we throw in 3 guys bound? And now there's 4 guys running around loose in there. I see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the other guy, he looks like the Son of God. See, if the king had known any better, he would have said they all 4 look like the Son of God. So what's happening here? All of a sudden the ropes are burned off and they're wandering around. They're having their conference now. In the fire. There's nobody there to disturb them now. Nobody there